Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Foley. Trustee Lappin.
Here.
Clerk Palovich here. Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Here.
Trustee Kroll,
Here.
Trustee Reiner.
He will be tardy.
Supervisor Skibby.
Here. At this point in time, we're at the adoption of the agenda. Is there any additions, corrections, or substitutions to the agenda as presented? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. We have a motion on the table. Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported. Further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of adoption of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same. Moving forward, this is the first opportunity for public comment. If you have any public comment, either online or in person, please, if you're in person, please stand at the podium, state solely your name for the record, and limit yourself to 3 minutes.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
My name is Jerry Cashner. I got a farm out on 3621 Worth Road. I've had issues with water that I've gone to 9 county meetings, 5 the meetings downtown. This is my first one here. Mr. Skiba, I was informed, talk to you. I'm not gonna try to throw you under the bus or anything, but what I have is
It's okay.
no, what I have is, and if I shake, it's because I got neuropathy real bad. Works well with salt shakers and pepper shakers, but anything else, it doesn't work. You guys signed a piece of paper for my road commission, a road agreement here for Misery Bay Road. It was back in 2019. And my issue is with the County Board of Road Commissions. May's meeting, they told me they're not gonna give me a permit. They're not gonna dig out the ditch. They're not gonna allow anybody else to dig out the ditch. And they're not gonna give me back 17 feet of easement that they stole from my mom in 1967 under the auspices of they were going to clean out the ditch. That's not in writing. Everybody's gone now. But this thing here on Misery Bay Road, I need to know. They told me at the road commission, none of my tax dollars or anything goes for anything that they do. I don't think that's quite true. I'm hoping that my tax dollars to you people is something that's, I think it goes to you people somewhere down some way, some form. Somebody gave them 900 feet free. I can't get a ditch dug out, but somebody gave them 900 feet free. They asked me how I came up with that number. I had it lasered and I done it with an odometer off my new truck. And they told me that the odometer, Mr. Brady stated that the odometer was probably not accurate. I told him, I said, I'd like to have you talk to General Motors, Chrysler, everybody else that makes them. I've been going at this for 4 years now, and the drain commissioner came out and he said, it's pretty simple. County road, county ditch, county water, county road. And so I'm sitting there thinking, okay, we should be able to get this dug out. It hasn't been dug out since 67. Which is when they told my mom they were thinking about doing it. That's all they did was thought about it. Now they're slamming me on every corner, telling me they're not gonna do anything. I'm just appealing to you people. I got 3 crossover culverts that's dumping almost 2 miles of water across my property. They tell me there's nothing I can do about that. They tell me that they're not gonna let me dig out the ditch, and there's nothing I can do about that. They tell me that if they dug out the ditch, it would be a federal law that they'd be violating. I don't know of no such law. I talked to the DEQ in Gaylord. Gaylord told me they didn't know of it, and they asked me to have them give me a copy of this law. And when I asked for a copy, they said that lady had no authority as an attorney to tell me to ask for a copy. I don't know what all that means. It just means that somebody's not playing fair. So I know I'm already past my 3 minutes, so I'm just appealing to you people. If it was your property, what would you do? I got 3 crossover culverts dumping a lot of water, and all I'm asking, I had a laser by one of the road commissioners. Then I found out later that he was instructed not to help me. That was his words. I had brought that up last meeting, and they said the president of the road commission said he didn't know nothing about it. And the road commissioner doesn't know if he remembered he called him or not. So I'm asking you people, if it was your property, what would you do? I'm getting pushed into a corner. I can't get out into a field until maybe the first part of August. How am I supposed to? And I told him, I said, the only violation I know you people are doing is the 1966 Farmers Act, which says nobody, absolutely nobody can stop me from farming. Whether it's hobby farming or anything, but they're doing it. So I'm here today. I'm sorry I took more time, but I just ask you people, if it was your property, what would you do? Because I posed that question to the 7 commissioners downtown, and I'm hoping that they'll give me some type of an answer next month. I posed it to all the commissioners at the road commission, and their answer was, I don't know, which I refer to them now as do nothing, do little, and do less. The 3 that they have there.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any other public comments? Are there any public comments online? If so, use the bottom taskbar to raise your hand or send a message so that we can acknowledge it. Seeing none online, we'll move forward to payment of the bills. Is there a motion to make payment of the bills?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion on the table to make payment of the bills. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Clerk Palovich, yes. Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes.
Trustee Kroll,
Yes.
Trustee Polly,
Yes.
Trustee Lappin.
Yes.
Supervisor Skibby.
Yes. Moving forward in the agenda to the minutes of May 23rd, 2022, a regular scheduled meeting. Are there any corrections or amendments to the minutes as presented? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented. We have a motion on the table to approve the minutes as presented. Is there support? I'll support it. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes of May 23rd signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Moving forward into correspondence, we have 2 documents from Alpena Power Company and their opportunity to comment. I'll entertain a motion to receive and file the correspondence as presented.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion on the table to receive and file the correspondence. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of receiving and filing correspondence signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Moving forward into old business, fire department ladder hose testing. Chief, would you like to take the podium to potentially address any of the questions and or concerns?
Good morning, everyone. Mark Hanson, Fire Chief. All right, last month we had talked about, or last board meeting, I shall say, that I brought to this body that I would like to proceed with a hose testing from a third-party company. In that actual meeting, I had a little bit of wrong information. NFPA 1962 is a guide that we are supposed to follow for hose testing. It was my understanding that we'd have to do that annually or every 3rd year from a testing company. Seeing that we have not done any third-party testing here at the township and have done it in-house for the last several years, we really don't have a good guide as to what to go by right at the moment. So what I mean by that is that employees would do some testing, some would get missed. We didn't have a thorough testing of all of our hose. So I reached out to our insurance risk manager, Mike Gambos, to ask if he could guide any assistance to me in this dilemma of getting hose tested. And keep in mind, when I bring this information before the board, I'm not ever eager to spend $5,400, if you would, out of my budget. However, just like we do flow testing for our SCBA's as a piece of our equipment, I believe truly that we need to make sure that our hoses are tested in the same fashion, just for a liability standpoint. And then after speaking with Mr. Gombos, and you have that in your board packet. Actually, you might have double that information in your board packet. Sorry, because I didn't realize they were stuck together when we scanned them. So there's a little bit extra, but he had given some opinions basically of different areas and what they do for testing. When we talked about it, as far as having individuals trained by a certified trainer, there's nothing available right as far as we can, as far as he can find, to even have our staff completely adequately trained to do the job. So according to NFPA 1962, you can do a yearly in-house inspection of your hose by your own staff. But what I would really like to do is see us have at least get a plan going for every third year that we would have an individual company come in and test that. In the off years, we would do the in-house training. And the reason why I say that is they would come in, they would number all the hose, get us a start where we can actually start, and we can track that hose from, let's say we got hose number 4, for years, we can track that hose. And then when number 4 goes bad, you can take that out of the loop and put it into a new piece. You can put the time that hose is put into service, tested. And even if it's brand new hose, we had this discussion at the last meeting that even if it's brand new hose, it can sit on the shelf for years.
5 years.
Yep. But once it's put into service, it has to be tested or inspected within 60 days. So what I would like to see us do as a department and as a township is that we get the first round of testing done. That way we have a baseline to go off of. Again, I don't want to spend the money out of my budget because we all know that it's a very tight budget year. But I think it's a necessary evil that we do that. I have 3 different companies that are listed in here. Right now, their calendar is filling up on all these different companies to try and get them to come in and test for us. But just looking at, let me get through my papers here, sorry. I believe national hose testing would probably fit our bill the best, looking at all the different things that are out there. It's my recommendation that we move forward with an independent company to come in for the first year, get our stuff tested. It'll give me an opportunity to find out if there's any training courses out there so staff can be properly trained from a third-party trainer. That way we don't assume that liability.
Question, Lexipol, brand new format of all in-house training capabilities. Is there not a module within Lexipol?
I don't believe there is. That's something I could pose the question to them, though. That's a very good plan.
So are you recommending that we go with National Hose Testing Specialists?
Yeah, I think that's our
Is
best.
it the $5,092?
Right.
And your recommendation to a GL?
Yeah, I thought I had that in there.
Half of our board packet is Mr. Gambo, second.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's
Second three.
on the, on page 30.
Oh, that's
Where did you get
nice
that
when you get it
information?
electronically.
I know. Oh, you didn't label yours before that?
I
The
didn't,
other
I
one
didn't
is for the ladder
earmark.
testing.
So you were,
He's recommending both fire and ladder testing.
Well,
that's correct.
Right.
Yes, out of the same company.
Right.
And that would be taken out of contractual services 205-336-801-000.
Mark, I noticed on one of these, you can answer it for me. There was a option, 3 options from one of these companies. Just a moment, the name of that company, Fire Cat, I guess. Where if the department reloaded the apparatus, then it would be you could probably realize a savings of a few $100.
I can touch base. I know where you're going with that real quick. If I have staff come in for that, whether it be full-time staff or paid on call, and trying to schedule paid on call to come in and be there for that particular day. We may or may not have the opportunity to use them. You know, it's just like them responding to emergency. Sometimes they're not available. Paid on call staff, by the time we pay them overtime, come in.
Overtime. Call staff,
No, if you were going to
Full-time.
full-time, if you're going to use full-time staff, of which you can't complete that task with one person putting large diameter hose back on. It's a minimum of 4 people to do that
Well,
job.
That's kind of what I figured you were gonna say, and I was just curious. It was enough of a savings, and I thought, geez, we're probably having to pay the guys. It probably ends up being a net minor
Right.
savings.
I had actually hoped that I would have had enough time to do the math for you, but
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to do that. So
roughly $1,100
Yeah, roughly.
roughly,
saving.
right.
And then, then paid on call at the time. So Laura.
In reading this information from Mr. Gambos,
Mhm.
it also mentioned in there about annual testing on pumps, because they're kind of go to hand in hand, the
Right.
hoses and the pumps.
We do have a contract, well, not a contract. We have R&R has been conducting that service for us for years.
Okay,
So we're on target with that. They do that with the annual maintenance. So that's been figured into the equation for, well, nearest I can go back probably as far as 2017 in my records.
thank you.
Any other questions for the chief? We have a recommendation of utilization of the National Hose Testing Specialties Incorporated Company to the tune of what, $5,092?
Yeah,
5,300.
53 was the waterway.
Oh,
Right.
Whoa.
I have national,
National hose, that's
Which would do-
$5,092.
right, and that's for hose testing and ladder testing.
That's correct.
So we have a recommendation of chief to move forward with the National Hose Testing Specialties Incorporated Company to conduct our hose and ladder testing. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion on the table to move forward with the agreement with National Hose Testing at $5,092 to be utilized out of professional and contractual GL of the fire department. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
That was professional and protection.
Yeah,
Professional
801. is
contractors. Trustee Reiner.
Yes.
Trustee Polly.
Yes.
Trustee Lappin.
Yes.
Clerk Palovich, yes. Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes.
Trustee Kroll,
Yes.
Supervisor Skibby.
Yes, I'd also like to have a training mechanism so that in the off years, we're doing
Right.
it internal.
And I will reach out to Lexipol to see if they might offer anything like that. That's a great idea.
We're already paying it.
Yeah.
Okay, moving forward in the agenda. We are back to, let me just set my, there it is.
Thank you.
We're into new business. So at this point in time, I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing for the drinking water state revolving fund request. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that
We
motion.
have a motion on the table to open a public hearing for the drinking water state revolving fund. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Trustee Polly.
Yes.
Trustee Lappin.
Yes.
Clerk Palovich, yes. Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes.
Trustee Kroll,
Yes.
Trustee Reiner.
Yes.
Supervisor Skibby.
Yes. We are now officially in the public hearing. At this point in time, Mr. Rowley, if you'd like to, and note the time that we're at 11:17 a.m. But Mr. Rowley, the podium is yours, sir. Sir, can I help you? I'll take care of this.
Haley's got it. Haley's-
Thank you very much. Hey, you're not interrupting, sir. Thank you very much for paying your water bill.
Nope,
No,
you're
sir.
fine.
Mr. Rowley, the podium is yours, sir.
Thank you. So this is one of the steps in the process that we're moving forward with an Eagle application for their drinking water state revolving fund program. We were authorized to put together a it's called an intent to apply meeting with Eagle, which we completed, as well as a project plan, which is a detailed document both on the engineering recommendations for water system improvements, as well as engineering or an environmental assessment that goes along with that. And those documents have been available here at the township for public viewing for the period required by Eagle. And now we're in the portion of the process where we're having a public hearing to allow public to make comment. I'll just go through real quickly a number of items that, again, this is all dictated by the Eagle program and what needs to be discussed. And then if we could save questions till the end, we can answer those and then give the public an opportunity to share if they had any comments. So we completed the project plan and evaluated needs on your water system, which included on the distribution side of things, water service replacements. I think you're all aware that the current condition of a lot of the water service leads, or all of the water service leads, are plastic and brittle and breaking. Also on the water distribution system, some dead end water mains that in our plan, we would like to loop those, connect those, and improve fire flow capabilities and reliability of the system. And that is on South Partridge Point Road. And then also looking at the overall system, we have a lot of ductile iron water main and AC, which is asbestos pipe that's undersized and aged. We'd like to replace those. Your water system includes a couple water towers, and the south tower on 23 is in need of some minor upgrades and painting. And then miscellaneous items that we included in the project plan included water system asset management plan, which is a detailed plan of all your components. That would include a final, it's called a DSMI, but that's a document for Eagle. And then also purchasing equipment that the township can use in the future to locate water services and map the system using GIS. So the project goals that we set out were to improve reliability, reduce O&M costs, and prevent costly emergency repairs. We want to look at capacity, make sure that the system capacity is there, reliability, fire flows, and quality by replacing the old mains and undersized mains. The looping system, again, will improve reliability, system pressure, and improve system flows. And then the water storage, again, is a reliability component to maintain the tank and the upgrades needed there. So as part of the project plan at Eagle requires, we look at a number of alternatives. One of the alternatives is no action, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but we evaluate that as, just understanding that continue to neglect the system is going to just increase costs over time. Another alternative is to just optimize what you have, which is, again, pretty difficult, especially with the large component of the project that's on the table is the water service replacements. It's a costly item and there's a lot of them. So that gets us to our selected alternative, which is all the items that I've already talked about. The water service, there's an estimate of 2,600 total, 2,652 total services in the system. And we're estimating that 100 have been replaced. So there's a remaining 2,500 water services to take care of. The 4-inch water main replacement on Princeton Avenue, Partridge Avenue, Glendale Street, St. Ange Street, and completing the loop on South Partridge Point Road. And then, as I mentioned, the water asset management plan and the GIS upgrades so that you can have the mapping and monitoring of the system in-house. So With that, there's a preliminary pre-construction, pre-bid cost estimate that was generated. And the estimate of the project was 15.8 million. Again, a majority of that is the water service replacements. The requested funding from Eagle is again through the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. The first step that we took with the ITA, the intent to apply, when we met with Eagle virtually, went really well. They were excited about the project in the sense that it's a broad project. It doesn't just concentrate on one of your assets. So when they look at these types of projects, they look at the distribution system as a component, storage, the water towers as a component, wells are part of the source water as a component. So what they liked was the ability to, it's a broad improvement, and it helps all of the customers because of the costs that are associated with mostly these water services. The township was evaluated, and they qualified for what's called disadvantaged status with Eagle. I'd say it's one of the few times you can say that's a good thing, right? So what that does is it just opens up better programs for the township to take advantage of. Number one being the term. So with these projects, there's a loan component and a grant, a principal forgiveness or a grant component of these projects. We don't know what the mix of that will be until later this year. So this is a step towards getting those answers. But because of the disadvantaged status, you qualify for a 40-year term instead of a 30-year term. It makes a huge impact on a bond payment. Also, the interest rate is reduced at the 40-year right now is at 2.25%. So as everybody's aware with what interest rates are doing currently, that's an award just in itself is to get that lower interest rate. So what we did is we took a look at the existing revenue on the system and compared that to the cost of the project to give you a sense of what that's going to mean on a user rate basis or a revenue basis. And so conservatively, if the project moved forward and there was no principal forgiveness, so a complete loan for the 15.8 million, your revenue would need to increase about 34 to 44%. And so, we don't expect that to be the final answer. I can't tell you, I don't have a crystal ball to tell you exactly what the offer will be from Eagle. But again, if you look at a 50% grant, 17% revenue increase would have to be applied to the users in order to cover the loan portion of that debt service. So when we get to that point, so the process moving forward would be the public hearing gets documented. We make a final project plan submission. We've already submitted a draft plan to Eagle. We haven't gotten any comments back on that plan. The final plan is due July 1st. So that would be our next step. And then they take all the project plans that are moving forward, evaluate them with their funding sources and come up with those calculations of what projects are funded and at what level grant and principal forgiveness would be applied. In terms of some of the other items that I am required to talk about is environmental impacts. We do an environmental assessment on the project, and I'll go through these really quick and then we can open it up. I know it's a lot here, so we can open it up to questions. So we look at items that are not impacted on the project: farmland, floodplains, wetlands, natural or wild and scenic rivers, historic, archaeological, tribal, water quality, or solid waste disposal. Impacted resources are biological. So we have items like the northern long-eared bat, the eastern, I don't know how to pronounce that, Michigan rattlesnake, Masaga, monarch butterflies, Heinz emerald dragonfly, piping plover, roof of red knot. Timothy, what's a roof of red knot? Okay. Pitcher's thistle and dwarf lake iris. They have potential to be impacted, however, it's very unlikely. Tree and vegetation removal is not anticipated and it would be minimized. Coastal resources, critical dunes impact due to water main installation. We don't have any anticipated coastal dunes. Air quality during construction, there's a potential for dust and things that come along with construction. And we would, do everything to keep that at a minimum. Transportation impacts, temporary effect on local transportation due to construction in the road right of way. And again, that becomes pretty typical in northern Michigan this time of year. And noise impacts, temporary with existing, will exist from new construction equipment, and that would be during daytime hours only. There will be a temporary disruption to areas of construction, but will maintain access to homes and businesses. Any closure that's required would be open up in the evening at the very least. We don't anticipate any social impacts, and it's anticipated that no historical properties will be impacted. However, through these types of projects, we do observe that if there are any artifacts found, those will be documented during construction. So the potential of the project on the environmental impacts is very low. The project will be coordinated with Eagle during the design phase and evaluate any further potential impacts to coastal and wetland areas. So I know that's a lot. That is a brief checklist of items that Eagle requires us to discuss at the public hearing. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions that the board has. Yes, sir.
Is this our complete system?
No, that's just the north and south mapping areas that I shared with you. We have them on the easels as well. I just thought it'd be easier to see those in front of you on 11/17. So that just shows the areas of work. Those are included in the project plan submitted to Eagle. So we're just showing those areas.
So we have more to our system than this.
Yes.
Is this like a third, a half, a quarter,
10%.
10% of our
I
system?
mean, we have a lot of linear feet of, it's a sizable chunk.
I
of
mean,
these are-
we're looking at or seeing.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
scratching the surface.
I wondered the same thing, if this was,
Comprehensive?
yeah,
No.
So in the project plan, we have an aerial map of your system. We printed these out. These are just the areas of construction or work are delineated on those. So we have the northern and southern areas that basically all the construction is going to happen in. We'll have the water service replacement will be obviously everywhere on your system. And so those water service replacements will go from the water main to the right of way. And each one of those will be replaced.
Trustee Ryan?
When Eagle, I guess it is looking at the balance between grant money and loan money, a 44% rate increase to get to the revenue equation here is the dark side, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Did they look at the rate increase potential when they decide whether, or the level of grant?
Yes. So as part of that ITA, the intent to apply, we submit documentation on your current operations and maintenance numbers, and then also the anticipated cost of the project. So they know the cost of the project. They know your current O&M costs. And so they do a pretty rough calculation. And that's part of the what goes into qualifying for that disadvantaged status.
For their changing economic conditions. How solid is that 15.8?
We're pretty comfortable with that. Obviously, there is supply chain issues with materials these days. This project would probably, moving forward, you're looking at getting an answer on your funding calculation this fall. We would start survey and design this fall with bidding early next year. Whether or not we could get to construction at the end of 23 would probably be, an optimistic view. So we apply current costs that we have and rates of inflation and things like that. We've done I'll have to say, we've done a really good job of cost estimating even through these difficult times with current projects that we have, both the water and sewer systems. So in fact, we just closed on a $3.5 million water project that came in under budget. So we do these projects throughout the state. We do them often. And so we have a very good library of what current costs are. And then we do the best we can. Obviously, costs a year out or things can change, and we realize that, but I think we have a conservative estimate.
So you mentioned there's 2,642 service systems and 100 of them have been replaced. Now, is that for our entire system?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just not this.
Yeah, those maps are just showing the tower and the water main.
But it's
replacements.
included. I mean, that
Yeah.
would be part of it. And then like the increase of the revenue that would have to happen, that would be for all of our customers.
Yep, that'd be a system. So when we get the answer from Eagle on what the funding calculation will be, we'll get back together. I would encourage you to engage with the municipal financial advisor to take a look at the rate structure and help you apply a rate increase as needed, and to do that legally and fairly. So
Okay, thank you.
instead of breaking it down and trying to get, because that number is difficult to pin down. We don't know the amount of grants. We've heard some rumblings of really fantastic news. Even at the 50% would be a phenomenal grant to get from Eagle at this time. But we're hearing, the state, and if you're following the politics of this stuff, states and federal dollars are backed up and they're trying to get them to the communities, and they haven't all gotten there yet. So unfortunately, Eagle hasn't shared with us exactly what their total pot of money is. And so the first few steps that we've taken, which is the application, qualifying for the disadvantaged status, having a good broad ranging project, those are all good signs. And so I can tell you that to get any of the principal forgiveness or grant dollars, you have to be disadvantaged. So you've already met that threshold. So, yes, sir.
A couple of things, and I hope I spit this out okay. You had talked about the plastic lines and those sorts of things that we have that are getting brittle, and that we would essentially go from the water main to essentially the middle of the sidewalk, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. Historically speaking, with other communities that you've done this with, do the property owners usually take that time to upgrade whatever they have so as to avoid future problems on their end of the line? Or I guess I'm just looking for historical data.
Well, I can tell you this, that brittle plastic water services are not common. In fact, when we met with Eagle initially, the buzzwords currently are lead service lines, if you've heard, right? So they're really focusing on replacing lead service lines. And so in those situations, we do have actually a requirement to replace the line completely to the home, to either the meter or 18 inches inside the house, whichever is greater. So if you find a lead service line, that's a requirement. In this case, I don't think that the services would be, just the nature of how a water service comes off the main. They're not getting the forces that you get at the main. So, just a pipe in the ground, a plastic pipe in the ground being brittle is an okay thing. I don't think you're going to have folks that are going to want to tear up their yards to replace water mains.
Okay, yeah, I just wasn't sure if there was a process by which you could sort of sleeve it, I guess, for lack of a better phrase.
Directional drill, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all kinds of methods we could do. Directional drill into the home or next to
So-
the foundation.
At the end of the day, if the homeowner or property owner has had a problem with the past and this opportunity comes along, then they can choose to fix it if they wish.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Yep, so their water service on their property is their responsibility and they can take it from the road right away into their home.
And in previous historical projects, even within our infrastructure, we've seen probably, I would say about 40%, 30-40% of the homeowners that have the opportunity, once we're exposing the service line to the curb stop from curb to curb. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. That might, so maybe 25% will
Okay.
say, I'll take this opportunity since you're logistically here and this is going to be the most cost-effective time to do
Yeah,
it.
I guess that's where I was coming from, is that if this opportunity comes along, and it sounds like it's a great opportunity, that this might be an opportunity to get the word out to the property owners that, hey, this is
This is
a
happening.
unique time in life.
It'd be a good opportunity to discuss with them if their meter, if their line size is correct. You know, I just went through this personally on my house and I can't believe I missed my opportunity, but I had to, I was doing a remodel in my home and I have just a meter pit outside. I don't have a shut off valve inside my house. It's 130 years old. So to get any plumber there to do any work, we'd have to call the city, they'd shut off the valve at the street. And so I had them put in a new water service and a shut off valve. And that was the time to upgrade from a 1/2-inch line to a 3/4, do something different. I didn't do it because I didn't think of it. And so you may have customers that want to increase the size of their service and that would be a good time to do that.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes,
Just,
sir.
well, somewhere along the way here in his question and Steve's question, lead lines were mentioned, but we're not likely to
We
have
do
any lead
not.
lines.
Actually, we're extremely fortunate. So that was the paradigm. Because the key phrase right now, especially in drinking water funding mechanism has been since Flint and probably into the next foreseeable future is lead service, lead service, lead service. But in our ITA meeting, I just tried to put my loafer in the door of the EPA standard of microplastics. Because plastics that get brittle become smaller and smaller, parent material breaks down. So that could be the next one. So I don't think it really helped with scoring. It was creative. But it will be.
But our system's new enough. Our people wouldn't have lead service.
No, we have, our principal construction was from 77 to 82. And fortunately, in that span, they had already kind of corrected the lead service conundrum that other communities are still having to sift through.
And so this, moving forward with the application going in before July 1, the state of Michigan will again review all of these applications throughout the state and they will, draw the line in the sand of what communities they can fund and at what levels. And we'll get that answer maybe in August, but this fall. And that'll give the township another opportunity to review that and make a decision. You're by no means bound
To kind of tick and tack that is, we're currently listed as, on the funding scale, we're in a 4-way tie at 24th spot. So that was this meeting has the state determined the metric for tie breaks as per their own standards. That has not been done yet, but Mr. Rowley actually presented the fact that once any of the communities that are at 24 or higher that never made that designation of a disadvantaged community will probably remove themselves from the list. So hopefully we shuffle up exponentially. Yes, Michelle.
So we're ranked 24 out of how many?
600 and some applications.
Oh,
Yeah, you're at the top. It's-
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were like 30 or something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be that impressed if
Four-way
they were
tie,
24.
four-way tie at 24th out of 25. Yeah, I think I'd have a different tone at that point. But yeah, so we're well on our way in this. This is the conversation point of our systemic issues with our service line breaks over this past fiscal. and actually having a controllable known cost for budgeting versus the sporadic nature in which these incidents occur. So.
Yep.
Any other questions for Mr. Rowley? Are there any participants online or in person that have questions for this public hearing in this project? Seeing none. It's gonna start right.
Get him again.
Yeah, better been around. No, it seemed pretty important.
That wasn't. Something floating.
Arachnophobe. But anyways, if there are no further discussions, questions, or any public comment to be had, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support. Moved by
13 people, it
Russ.
sounded.
Russ.
And the support?
I support.
Okay, so we have a motion and support to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? Seeing no, roll call, please.
Trustee Lappin.
Yes.
Clerk Palovich, yes. Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes.
Trustee Kroll,
Yes.
Trustee Reiner.
Yes.
Trustee Polly.
Yes.
Supervisor Skibby.
Yes. Moving forward on the agenda of new business is a comprehensive quote from Meridian Contracting for a security project estimate. This is kind of a follow through from our site visit with Deputy Lash and our emergency safety plan for this physical location. And Laura and Michelle, I think for you both, yeah, we're both with Lash when he came. And the first thing, and actually it came back to be the first, the last, and a lot of the middle topics were public access to this building and containment, especially in today's society. We have to date completed a project with the first tranche, if you will, of CARES Money Act for the treasurer's office. We actually this Sunday implemented a secure door on the backside. That entire wing of the building is completely secure at this point in time. And this will be a phase 2 project of segmenting the office proper into 3 division points. One being the general area of the boardroom, public facilities, and the entryway. Second secure location would be the treasurer's office, and the third division would soon to become, if the board so chooses to move forward with this project, a wall and service windows that will close off from the clerk's building department supervisor's office that wing. So you're centralizing pedestrian traffic and mitigating any potential concerns in terms of safety for employees. What you see is fairly comprehensive. The one missing aspect to this would be that, and I'll let you address it if you'd like.
For the clerk's office, there's cabinetry and a closet, and it's about $13,000. We are getting a grant for security from the state. It'll amount to about 7,500 that we could put towards this, so that all ballots, anything election, will be under lock and key at all times.
And so with that grant, the reimbursement grant from the state for the elections cabinetry reduces the out-of-pocket total, if you will, from $44,783 to $37,283 once the reimbursement grant is submitted.
We would have to pay for it first, and then we get reimbursed.
So this is a recommendation, definitely from myself, that we move forward with this. We can actually utilize, we can always come back and utilize our first part of the monies of our first tranche of the ARPA funds for this project. We also do have 2 GLs that have sufficient funding to move forward with this project, internal current. So it'd be my recommendation, but I'll open the board to discussion. Yes, Steve.
2 things. Is the Omega Electric part of that?
No,
Okay.
no,
all right,
that's
fair
a separate part.
Okay, and then did we get anybody else have any interest at all in this?
And no, and the crummy thing is, when it comes to, and this gets back to the ballistic paneling.
Yep.
There's really only two people in the game. I think Meridian, and the only other people that I know that have done it within this entire community are Alpena County staff. So I don't think Alpena County buildings and ground staff, we could subcontract. But we could probably make a presentation to see if they would be willing to do so.
Well, then my follow-up question to that, is there any expectation of the use of any of the ARPA money that we have to supply them with evidence that we either tried or alternate
No.
bids or? Okay.
No, and I can kind of squash that. We had effective April 1, a determination in terms of reporting utilization of said monies, which is after the final volley. I believe we rested at a total accumulation. And then we just got an email from Department of Treasury that the second tranche is soon to be brought forward. Our final tally is $919,211.02, I do believe.
Ish.
Which was an increase from the $915 that it was previous. I think went up.
Sure, it wasn't 3 cents.
Yeah,
I for whatever reason, I'll agree to.
with interest.
Yes. So we responded, we had the opportunity and a one-time opportunity to either dedicate full for the next 7 years of reporting at federal standard, project by project out 7 years, or take the one-time opportunity that we were a non-entitlement unit or NEU by their standard. If we had no loss or any cost loss up to $10 million, you had a one opportunity to file that way and claim it as general fund and distribute it as you see fit as a municipality. So I didn't think that was rocket science, so I took that opportunity to report, and that way we as a board can come back around and make allocations as we need. And we only have one general reporting mechanism, then reporting per project for 7 years. So I figured one reporting in 7 years versus X amount of reports for 7 years was a win-win. So we reported that way. Yes, Steve.
One more question. This is a pretty intense project, and it's not going to be done overnight.
No.
There needs to be logistics taken into consideration, and how does that look?
We have, and actually the biggest logistic concern would be in the clerk's department, obviously with elections, et cetera.
Yeah, if they order it, it's probably between the two elections, they'd have to do it in August. The bulletproof class probably will not be here in August. So that kind of puts us into sometime after November 8th.
It'd be, so we've
When they would be
definitely,
able to get back into our office to do it. Because I can't have people in there when we're doing elections.
No, what, so where would they be?
The people,
Yeah, where's your staff gonna be?
we're going to be in our office. The contractors are not going to be there till after November.
No,
8th.
I mean, when they start, where does, when your office is chewed up?
My office probably won't be touched. It'll be Haley's. So she'll have to
Take my laptop.
sit on the other side of my desk.
Hey,
well, we have, now we
And we
actually
also have
have,
the copy.
So there's a plan.
There's a plan, yeah.
All right.
and it's a logistical nightmare in terms of the supply chain with the ballistic glass and the paneling. And that coincides with 2 elections. And so that conversation's been had with the displaced individuals such as Miss Birmingham. We have a couple options available if there's any disruption in her workspace. Yes, Lord.
I just have a couple questions, just like going through all of this. It looks like, and I mean, if I'm wrong, just tell me, but it looks like we're redoing flooring and
Yep.
doors and walls and ceilings. And I mean, I know Meridian is specialized in the bulletproof glass. I totally get that. But isn't there a contractor that could do this at a lower price of the things that aren't required by someone with the experience or the know-how or whatever to do the bulletproof glass stuff? I mean, I'm
Well,
just thinking, can we
yeah.
save some money by having two contractors,
Yeah, and I'll respond to that as anybody that's actually had a contractor or work being done. The last thing a contractor wants is another contractor in their way.
Yep.
So if you want to talk about logistics, we're already talking about displacing one employee for a time period. Now, what came first? Which contractor?
And it is hard to coordinate two different contractors. That
so,
their schedules
so
coincide.
it just, so our, like, is your office and Haley's office and Lynn's office and the hallway, I mean, is that gonna be all new flooring and all new drywall?
The-
and all
the-
new-
So.
I mean, I guess that's just what I don't-
To clarify
Yeah.
the flooring. So there are going to be some doorways that are going to be moved. There's
Mhm.
going to be part of the building department is actually going to be more open because it's now behind a secure wall and a service window. So really, when it says flooring is what do you do when there's 4 inches where a wall used to be over
Mhm.
top, either vinyl or carpet?
Mhm.
And instead of looking haphazard, you do it right there. So that's why you have some flooring, but that's the only reason. If we weren't manipulating walls and certain things weren't going to be exposed, then you wouldn't have that need. But what do you do to splice in 40-year-old tile and
I just,
20-year-old carpet?
so basically it would just all be replaced.
Right.
It would be
No
minimally,
carpeting.
just
No,
minimal.
but I mean like the hallway
Right.
floor or whatever.
Whatever's damaged, that's why they put the flooring part.
Okay.
It's a small amount.
Yes, Russ.
Is there security material being placed in the walls
Yeah.
or
Yes.
just the glass?
No,
On the
ballistic
doors.
paneling is on one of the bullet points.
Okay, I
Yeah.
missed that. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so it will be that wall, that will be a secure, it will have 2 service windows, one for the building department and one for the clerk's office. We've gone through, I think we're on our 4th or 5th iteration of design that minimizes disruption and maximizes public interface, I guess would be the best way to look at it, of how to give them the best service and keep our employees safe. Are there any other questions? Otherwise, I would look to, if there's a motion on the table to move forward with the quote as presented.
This will
I'll make
be
it.
from ARPA.
We can always make that determination if by motion, if we want to use ARPA monies. We can state that per the motion.
The nice thing I like about the ARPA money, especially in a situation like this, is that 5 years from now, we don't have to wonder where we're going to cover those expenses. That this is a one-time expense. This seems like a good use of that ARPA money. So if you're looking for a motion, I would make a motion that we move forward with the bid as presented by Meridian Contracting, with the understanding that the cabinetry will be reduced by the amount of the grant, and this money is to be taken from the ARPA money.
I'll support that.
We have a motion and support on the table. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Clerk Palovich, yes. Treasurer Ellery Summers,
Yes.
trustee Kroll,
Yes.
trustee Reiner,
Yes.
trustee Foley,
Yes.
trustee Lappin.
Yes.
Supervisor Skibby.
Yes. Moving forward in the agenda is a second quote for lighting. This is actually, we've actually had Omega here now a couple times. We've moved forward with our only finding in terms of Myosha at this station. I don't know if they were able to get the south side with the hose reels. That work has been completed, at least here. I submitted the PAR plan grant, which I folded in the emergency egress lighting, so we'll find out on that. This was actually a follow through to our original plan of egress lighting and emergency signs. Unfortunately, a former employee, when walking through, did not tell them the proper way to do things. So we actually got a permit ding by our electrical inspector saying that this is not correct. So what this quote represents is any external door that has an emergency exit light to the outside also has to have connectivity with a 45-minute self-sustained battery backup lighting mechanism on the exterior. So this is to finalize a previous project of emergency lighting
On the exterior.
It has to be on the exterior. Yeah, so it has to coordinate. So that breezeway is into another interior, but on the outside, that's tied to the exterior lights there. But every other door that goes from straight to the outside that has an exit light on it has to have a corresponding emergency, self-contained, 45-minute fireproof battery life for emergency egress. Awesome. So it'd be my recommendation to move forward with this quote to utilize GL 101-265-931, of which we have adequate funding to move forward with $1,661.
I'll make that motion.
A motion on the table to move forward with the estimate as provided. Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported. Further discussion? Our electrical inspector will be happy that we've gotten one red piece of paper off of our docket. Yes, Trustee Fuller?
I just. Who are we paying the electrical permit fee to?
Ourselves.
Okay, so like, it's just kind of like, is it just so the paperwork gets shoveled through?
Well, because
It's-
80% of that's gonna go to the electrical inspector.
We are no different than any other resident in the Charter Township of Alpena. We as a municipality pulled the permits according to all Michigan building code. And that is my statement on that matter.
So we take it out of one fund, put it in another.
With the exception of us.
With the exception of
Yeah, spiff.
We can
20%.
basically Do a journal entry.
Yeah. So, yeah. Any other question, discussion? Roll call, please.
Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes.
Trustee Kroll,
Yes.
Trustee Reiner,
Yes.
Trustee Foley,
Yes.
Trustee Lappin.
Yes.
Clerk Palovich, yes. Supervisor Skibby.
Yes. Moving forward in the agenda, we'll see a project that we've already spoken about several times as a board. This is the engineering report and service proposal for our 500,000 gallon water tank on M32 West. Obviously, as you see, there are several different construction phases. Right now, we're looking at an agreement between us and them as the professional service provider for moving forward with oversight for the project. Obviously, you'll see on the second page, they have an anticipated cost of upgrade of $360 or $360,000. And the total cost of Dixon services through this process is $52,300. We've actually already submitted it's actually earlier this week, I believe, our logo in proper format so that they can actually break out what potential cost would be to actually have our updated logo on that pedosphere as well. And the discussion to this point is this is a direct correlation to ARPA utilization of funds. So it would be, besides the fact that I got an extra vowel on my name in their report, it would be my recommendation to continue to move forward. Anyways, it would be my recommendation to continue to move forward with the Dixon Engineering services for this project and to continue this project moving forward. There may be a potential for cost savings if we acknowledge and move forward with this and allow it to be postponed past this fall into next spring. Could potentially show a cost savings mechanism with their timing mechanism internal. So roughly speaking, we have a total project cost for the water tower. And then we also have the service fee for the estimate amount between Dixon Engineering and us. Anybody from F&B, any input onto, if I've missed anything in this discussion? So yes, long and short, it's my recommendation that we move forward with the Dixon Engineering report and services contract as such, and to continue forward progress with allowing Dixon Engineering to finalize the construction estimate with our logo. Yes, Laura.
How much would the savings be if we postpone this till the spring?
Nobody really knows. They're,
But it works out better for our internal staff or for Dixon to postpone?
our internal staff has no mechanisms in this project, so it'd be Dixon and then the
Okay.
subcontract. So Dixon is the oversight, the engineering company that is specific to the monitoring and adherence, if you will, to standards. As we did with Piper Road, I believe last year. We had a second, third party, and I can't remember who the vendor was. L&T Painting, something to that mechanism that did the actual physical work. So Dixon is oversight. They do their function. And then the second company, of which you can see on page 2, is rough estimate as it stands. 360, that number may be going up or down with logo and timing,
Who is that company that will? Be-
to be determined, obviously.
Oh, okay.
Says, and we're right in their paperwork. They want the tip of the hat so that they can actually put it out for bid letting. So we don't know who's really going to come back. It may not be the same company that did Piper Road, but Dixon Engineers, basically the general contractor, if you will. On the job. Yes, right.
And this is the tower that had the perforation in it, the leak.
That would be one and the same. Now, a little too
Also-
early to water the daisies.
So the funding for this is not budgeted in the water and sewer fund. This is.
No, this would be a direct correlation to utilization of ARPA monies for infrastructure improvement. Any other?
That's the engineering too. The engineering is not budgeted there.
Well, you see in phase 1, 6,500 for the design phase, 45,000. They have it all broken.
Oh, I know,
into
no, I
phases.
mean, in terms of budgeting in the water and sewer fund, none of this, not even the engineering can come out. of it.
No, we did not. This was per all posts or pre-conversations. This was kind of the direction that none of the funding mechanisms would be in-house because we didn't obviously budget. We have an every other year in our CIP for the water department to look at water towers, but effectively we started and finalized Piper Road last year. If we utilize ARPA monies, we have the opportunity to actually be 1 year advanced in our CIP on this tower. And if we're successful in our drinking water ask, we'll actually hitting all 3. And two out of the 3 would be a separate payment mechanism altogether. So we paid for 1. Hopefully, we're going to either have a very low rate loan grant for the 3rd, and we have ARPA monies for this one.
How often do water towers need to be paying up and everything?
Well, inspected, is it a 3 or a 5 year cycle? 3, I want to say, is it 5-year cycle on inspections? Now, inspections can go two ways. The reason that we're being more proactive, well, not the only reason, but the last time we actually had all 3 of our pedospheres inspected was by ROV, which is a cost savings mechanism and allowable by state standard, but not as thorough as actually draining down and physically inspecting, of which that has already taken place successfully with minor hiccups up front, with potentials for disruption on fire service suppression systems. But this is pretty much ready to rock and roll. All of our field operators have become very accustomed to our bypass scenarios so that we're maintaining water supply and pressure in the western corridor. So now it's just, what is the timing mechanism for the contractors? Is there a price break for extending that window? With the ARPA monies, we'd only have to have that earmarked by 2024 and have it completely spent by 2026. So we have adequate time for utilization of said funds. But this is there again, this is another opportunity where we can make a vast improvement to our infrastructure that doesn't have a negative impact to consumer rates or our enterprise fund. So it's definitely my recommendation to move forward with Dixon Engineering per the contract presented on page 1 of 22 to continue to move through phase 1 of this process.
So phase one, we're just approving the 6,500.
Yeah, that's,
We're not approving the construction.
The 45.
45.
I think they'll be coming back. That's my, because I think there's still some variables, the timing mechanism and now the logo. So these aren't, I don't think truly finalized numbers.
No, I
even
can't
as
see how
to.
they can.
So right now, it's just the phase one
Okay.
contract that's presented. And we'll be coming back to approve phase two at a later date.
So I'll make a motion to approve phase one.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to move forward with phase one of the Dixon Engineering and Inspection Services agreement between the Charter Township of Alpena and their professional services.
To be paid through ARPA funds.
To be paid through ARPA funds, if that's your motion.
Yes.
So we have a motion on the table. Is there support?
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported. Further discussion?
I just got one. I'd just like to see a list of what we've spent ARPA funds on and the costs. I'd like to see that.
Okay, right now, I think with today's meeting, we're up to a tally currently of 3 expenditures. So we can get that in.
Well, but
We
with
had
this,
earmarked a previous, I think,
Oh,
2 or
yeah.
3 meetings ago, we had an expenditure, I believe it was your motion to utilize ARPA money, if I'm correct.
on this. Yeah. But so it's pretty much, we've allocated all that we've received so far of our. 400
We're
some
probably,
thousand.
we're hovering around that 50% safely of utilization. So. And for some very significant projects, mind you, as well, at least 2 of 3, if not all 3 are significant. But that's easy to, yes, no.
So all of this equipment and these fence towers, water towers, that's too big a word for me to say. They're like late 60s, I'm sorry, 70s, early 80s. Most of this stuff was put in.
Yeah, our newest tower is actually our 23 South Tower. And that was actually located formerly in Traverse City, and it was disassembled and brought over here in segments and re-welded and re-serviced. And so that would have been roughly, I believe the 23 South bond project started in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I think 2000, 2001 it was implemented.
What I'm getting at is we have an old system that we're doing a lot of things that probably some of these things should have been done earlier.
All of them?
Yeah, okay, so.
I'd narrow it down that
We're
way.
bringing up a system that at the rate we were going of doing next to nothing, and now we're getting everything slowly in place. I think we're, it's costly, but I think we're moving along in the right direction for our people and their water supply. I
Most
think it's very
definitely.
important.
Yeah. No, it's an important thing, and water
Unfortunately,
is.
it costs money.
It always costs money, and I think these conversations are beneficial because infrastructure is one of those things, as I've mentioned a million times. It's not a problem until you flush a toilet and it doesn't leave your house, or you turn on water and you can't brush your teeth. But we've been working diligently to make sure that we don't wait for either. Yes.
We don't want to be like what's going on in Nevada, California, where the water supply is almost critical of being down to no electricity, down to no water or rationing. So we're taking care of what we've got and taking care of it for our people. I think it's good.
Don't think they're not looking at our Great Lakes.
Absolutely, they'd like to stick a
Their
pipe in
needs.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they're looking for Canada to sign a check. Yeah, I mean, we can get into geopolitical debates about utilization of our fresh water of our Great Lakes system, which is a big topic. But yes, we have actually, especially with the assistance of F&B engineering, getting some of our principal documents that help us forecast and create a solid CIP in the enterprise fund, as well as our asset management plan and all of our predominant serious documents. We've been updating, and we have a good ally in Eagle currently, and we're on that level. So we're going to continue to forge forward. With that being said, any other discussion on the Dixon Engineering Services Agreement? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Kroll,
Yes.
trustee Reiner,
Yes.
trustee Polly,
Yes.
trustee Lappin,
Yes.
clerk Palovich, yes. Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes.
Supervisor Skibby.
Yes. Moving forward, next item of business, Chief, you might as well take the podium. Deck gun.
Now I can say good afternoon. We've gotten that far. A while back, the board had talked to, several members of the board that were discussing the abilities of putting a deck gun on our engines. Just as of yesterday, our engine 2, we completed that project of putting the old deck gun from engine 3 on that unit. I sent the board members pictures just before the meeting, as quick as I could get them to you. But that has been installed, is operational. And now we're talking about engine 1, that the discussion had come up that we want to make sure that we get a deck gun on engine 1 with our manpower shortages and different things like that. That's just another tool in the toolbox to help us be more effective putting fires out. I've done some research on that. I have 3 different bids here. Unfortunately, I only have one company that's willing to install what they're going to sell. That would be R&R. If you look at the quotes that I've provided you, R&R comes in and they gave us new equipment pricing because of the truck being new from them. Just the basic monitor itself is $3,241.45. Of course, then you'll see all the different mounts and bases that are required to go along with that. The other 2 companies that provided me pricing, they come in higher and they were not able to do installations because they do not provide that type of service. So to get the deck gun on engine 1, and then both of our main line pumpers will have that capability. It's my recommendation that we would go with the estimate from R&R Fire for $6,442.89 from the equipment millage GL 205-336-976-000. Yes, Michelle.
Which one is engine 1? Is that the newest?
That's the newest one that
the
sits here.
20
2021, I think it is.
I
20.
don't know what the plate says, 2020 or 2020.
It's the newest engine.
Where is the gun physically located on the truck?
We can take a field trip after the meeting.
If you would
because
like, I'll
we
show
could
you
go
a quick
down
picture.
rabbit hole.
Well,
get up
I
on
guess
it,
my,
just can't get
I
on it.
guess looking at a picture will certainly answer my question.
So here's the pump panel that sits on top of that, and there's the extended, so it gets up over top the truck, so it can be.
Can it be collapsed? In
Yep.
other
It
words,
goes right down.
it telescopes.
It
That's
fits-
probably why they have the word telescoping in this bid. then.
And it actually fits in our
Yes.
stall.
That was my
So-
question.
Yes.
So yeah, Mr. Lappin's question is if it will fit. It is mounted on, it does fit. We have 3 inches of clearance. Not a lot, but we have clearance. I stood on the truck to make sure as it was pulled in and out that we wouldn't have an issue. So
What's its rotation? Does it? rotate?
360.
It does do a 360.
Yep, so that would kind of complete some of the big ticket items that we were looking at, making sure that we had. I mean, it would have been great if that would have been done at the time of the truck purchase, but
We're here in June 14th, 2022. So
That's
let's
right.
get it done.
so it's my recommendation. It's the board's pleasure to whatever you'd like there, but I was asked to proceed with that, so yes.
My only other question is, why are you recommending the equipment millage GL instead of just the regular equipment?
That's where we had originally budgeted for that item out of. We can certainly look here.
You can always make amendments
Sure.
to, I mean, if you have it in your physical, I mean, you can do it either way, I guess.
Well, you
Yeah.
can't take money from the equipment millage and put it someplace else. It's not. for
Right.
equipment.
Well,
Right, yeah.
but this is obviously meets that standard.
Right.
So
I was
it's
just
either you
wondering
take it
why.
out of your current budget.
Well, to answer your question, when I was preparing mine, that's where I had taken that source out of. Mr. Reiner, do you have a,
No, it makes sense to me.
okay,
Okay, we have a recommendation from the chief to move forward with the quote from R&R to utilize the equipment millage GL of 976 to the total cost of $6,442.89. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
We have a motion on the table to move forward with the estimate brought forward. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Further discussion?
The other guys didn't even quote the telescoping part, or I mean, they were just sort of incomplete.
Exactly.
All right, all right.
And they don't have the capabilities for installation with those two companies anyhow. Nobody really does.
And my question in regards to that is, what is our, what was the discount? Because it doesn't show between the costs and the total.
So-
You said that they gave us a discount in terms of new pricing. So
Right,
I would
the,
have figured that they would have broken that out.
The margin's so tight, but if you go to the R&R quote, second line item, it's 3,241.45. That includes the base. And then if you look at the other two companies, well, one of the companies is at 3,450.
Yeah, but my question was, what was R&R's discount?
That is their,
So 3%, 2%, 5%? I guess that was my question. I don't want to compare them to another.
yeah, I guess I don't have the answer to that. He told me he was going to give me equipment pricing that if we would have bought it with the truck, that's what the pricing would have been. And he is lower than everybody else in that arena.
Well, we have a motion and support on the table. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Reiner.
Yes.
Trustee Foley.
Yes.
Trustee Lappin.
Yes.
Clerk Palovich, yes. Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes.
Trustee Kroll,
Yes.
Supervisor Skibby.
Yes. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Next, our department reports. Are there any questions for any of the department reports presented?
I
Yes,
have
Laura?
one question. On your report, Nathan, you
Yeah.
mentioned potential special assessment districts for the road improvements.
Yeah. There was just a conversation of a road that we've heard a lot about, and that's Maple Grove. A new property owner, the reason why Maple Grove SA district has historically failed is because there's two principal landholders that have a vast amount of linear frontage that would have to eat that cost. Historically, that failed because of one particular landowner. That same parcel with almost 3,000 linear feet in comparison to 100 to 150 for every other resident, is the one that has come to us asking if this is something that, because he's willing to pay the lion's share of that project. So I've started that conversation.
So it's possible it may be on the December.
We'll see. I mean,
Okay. I'm just curious.
nothing, when it comes to special assessments and the hearings and the public involvement with that neighborhood and the district as a whole is a time consuming venture. So it would probably be, if it comes to fruition, it would probably be next fiscal.
Thanks.
But there's still roosters. Took care of one other beaver. Also lived in the city. So, yes. just-
Just to say, as liaison to the planning commission last night, we passed our first cannabis retail store, non-medical. And so the township is going to be officially in the cannabis business. And I think it was well discussed. And I believe this particular place will be a nice looking facility on South Bay right on 23. Because we emphasized that it'd be a shining spot in the.
Can you say where it's located
Which
at?
side of the road?
West side.
West side.
It's
across from Young.
it's public information. It's the former location of the Little Caesars
Oh.
backslash 3.5 week stint as an illegal medical marijuana facility backslash followed by I think Okina version Baywatch life-saving station. I don't understand its complexity. But it's unfortunately, it's an underutilized and a dilapidated piece of property, as trustees pointed out. And they are community partners and vested in making any improvements to the property that the planning commission wanted. So. And so that also signifies the fact that by state funding mechanisms, that is an uptick of revenue of $63,000. So, any other discussion for the good of, oh, sorry, this is the second opportunity for public comment. Yes, sir, please stand to the podium if you can. I'll give you 30 seconds.
I don't know if I.
And could you, and sir, could you actually spell your last name?
Kaschner.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know if I mentioned this the first time. I'm getting 2 miles of water on the west side of the road and a mile and a half on the east side, coming across two crossover culverts that's dumping that water across my farm. Now, I went out there this year and I hired a contractor to clean out my portion of the ditch. And I thought the county would hold up their end and clean out their part of the ditch. And they chose not to. They did clean out from from Bruce Goodrich's excavating around the corner, right to the crossover culvert, and that's where they stopped. And I need that water to go down the road a little bit farther, so it can,
You need that water to go all the way to Lake Huron. And that's.
Well,
the
it's
problem-
going
That's
to.
the problem with ditching is if
It
you fix
will.
one problem upstream, you got.
it'll
10
wind up
problems
going to
downstream.
Devil's Lake, and then Devil's Lake, so I'll probably run through Cranberry Creek or part of the Devil's River and wind up going there.
Yep.
And so I wanted to reiterate those facts that they did clean it out, like I said, but they stopped right at that culvert. I got a sand berm that's almost 3 feet high. From when the spring runoff comes, it just boils up the sand, and now they're forcing it across the property. The reason it's not going down any farther, because the neighbor across the road, which was a relative of mine, their driveway when their land was high enough, they did not have to have a culvert in there. But if you go another quarter of a mile, I got another crossover culvert, and I got 6.5 acres underwater now. I got geese landing in there. If I was a duck hunter, I'd be happy, but I'm not too much of a duck hunter right now. But anyway, thank you again for
What is your address on what road is it?
3621 Worth Road, 1/4 of a mile past the Norway Ridge pathway. It'll be on the left-hand side, third mailbox. There's a big red barn with a white house. You'll be able to see it because I had a lot of lumber.
South side?
It'll be on the left side, yes, as you're heading out, or east side road, I guess.
How many acres you have there?
110. They paid my mom $1 an acre. They took 3 acres of land when they got that easement.
Oh.
And so she lost 17 feet of easement and they never followed through. And from what I understand from Bruce Goodrich, I asked him this week if ever, when he owned the place, if he succumbed to those wishes or those needs also of 17 extra feet of easement, which gives him 50 feet now. He says he can't find any paperwork related to that. So why they picked on my mom and 4 kids? My dad died at the farm. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, sir. Any other discussion for the good of the order? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion on the table to adjourn. Is there support?
I'll support.
Motion and support. Further discussion on adjournment? Seeing none, all those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Meeting adjourned at 12:27. Thank you very much.
Thank you.